This is the brief on the legendary 7th century warrior Dhiraar ibn Al-Azwar. So, who was Dhiraar? He started as a wealthy chieftain, but became an elite commander in the Rashidun army. That's the first major Islamic empire, and he was a psychological nightmare for the Byzantines, all thanks to his terrifying and unconventional way of fighting. Okay, first up, his signature move was basically psychological warfare. The guy would fight bare-chested. He was originally a rich chief who donated his fortune, but he'd also literally throw off his armor in battle to show he had zero fear. At the Battle of Ajnadan, they started calling him the bare-chested champion after he supposedly took down a commander and dozens of soldiers with no armor on. Wild. Second, he wasn't just some brawler. He was top-tier special forces, serving under the legendary general Khalid ibn al-Walid. In an elite cavalry unit, Dhiraar was pivotal at the massive Battle of Yarmouk. He and 400 men took an oath to fight to the death, holding a key line and blocking a bridge to cut off the enemy retreat. And finally, this part's like a movie. His sister, Kala, actually rescued him. See, Dhiraar gets captured near Damascus, and suddenly this mysterious masked knight charges through enemy lines to save him. Turns out, it was Kala herself, and her combat skills were just as good as the army's best men. So you've got this fearless, armor-shedding shock trooper whose legacy is all about elite cavalry tactics and that incredible bond with his warrior sister. That's the bottom line on the bare-chested warrior.
Okay, so imagine a warrior so fierce, his enemies were convinced he was an actual demon sent to destroy them. A man whose legend was forged in the fire of some of history's most pivotal battles. Well, today we're talking about that man, Dhiraar ibn Al-Azwar. And get this, that wasn't just some kind of exaggeration. It was pure terror. When Dhiraar showed up on the battlefield, you'd hear disciplined Byzantine soldiers literally shouting this warning down the line. So you gotta ask, what could one man possibly do to inspire that level of fear in an entire imperial army? Well, a big part of it comes down to his nickname, the bare-chested warrior. See, he had this habit of ditching his armor and just charging straight into the fight. Now, you might think that's just reckless, but no, this was pure psychological warfare. I mean, think about it. In an age where armor was everything for survival, seeing a guy charge at you without it sent a terrifying message. I have zero fear of death, right? So how do you even begin to fight a man who seems totally immune to fear? And this wasn't just for show either. He had the skills to back it all up. For instance, at the absolutely critical Battle of Ajnadan, a battle that basically decided the fate of the entire Levant, Dhiraar is said to have killed 36 Byzantine commanders in single combat. That's just a staggering number, and it really shows you why he was seen as a one-man army. So a warrior like that doesn't just appear out of nowhere, right? Who was this guy before he became a legend? What turns a powerful tribal chief into such a devoted and unstoppable force for a new cause? To really get the warrior, we first have to understand the man he was before all the conquests. So, before he converted to Islam, Dhiraar ibn al-Azwar was already a big deal. We're talking about a chieftain of the powerful Banu Asad tribe. He was known as a skilled warrior even back then, and on top of that, he was an incredibly wealthy man. Basically, he had it all: power, prestige, you name it. But when he decided to convert, his commitment was just absolute. He didn't just say the words, he traveled to meet Prophet Muhammad and literally gave away his entire fortune. The sources talk about a herd of 1,000 camels. To put that in perspective, that was an almost unimaginable amount of wealth back then, and he just donated it all to the community without a second thought. And you can hear the depth of his commitment in his own words. His pledge was, "I have sold myself and all my wealth to God. Do not let this trade be in vain." Wow, so for him, this wasn't just a conversion. It was a total rededication of his entire life. From that moment on, every battle he fought was him fulfilling his side of that sacred deal. And fulfill it, he absolutely did. With his wealth gone and his new purpose crystal clear, Dhiraar unleashed his incredible skills on the battlefields for the Rashidun Caliphate, becoming a central figure in its lightning-fast expansion. I mean, the sheer scope of his campaigns is just massive. First, he fought in the Ridda Wars, which were all about unifying the Arabian Peninsula. Then he was a key commander in the conquest of Persia, fighting the Sassanid Empire. But, it was really in the Levant, facing off against the mighty Byzantine Empire, where the legend of the bare-chested warrior was truly cemented. And what's so important to remember here is that he wasn't just some wild berserker they just pointed at the enemy. No way. At the decisive Battle of Yarmouk, he was given a vital strategic role as a commander in the Mobile Guard. Now, this was an elite cavalry unit that basically acted as the army's troubleshooters. If any part of the Muslim line was about to break, they were the ones who charged in to plug the gap. This just proves he was as much a brilliant, trusted commander as he was a terrifying duelist. But maybe the most incredible story from Dhiraar's life isn't about a battle he won, but one where he was almost lost for good. And it's a story that introduces us to another legendary warrior from his own family, his sister, Khawla. Okay, so picture this. During the long siege of Damascus, Dhiraar, always the one to be on the offensive, was out on a scouting mission when he gets ambushed and captured by Byzantine forces. For the Muslim army, this was a catastrophe. Their greatest champion, their inspiration, was captured. It must have felt like their guiding star had just been snuffed out. But then, just as morale was hitting rock bottom, a lone figure appears. A mysterious knight, all in black, their face completely hidden, who just charges the Byzantine lines with a fury that stunned everyone, including their own side. This warrior fought with the same skill, the same ferocity as Dhiraar himself. And the army's commander, the great Khalid ibn al-Walid, was just as amazed as anyone else, wondering who on earth this mysterious hero could be. So when Khalid finally manages to catch up to this warrior and asks them to reveal who they are, the answer becomes the stuff of legend. "I am Khawla, sister of Dhiraar. I have come to free my brother." It was his sister, Khawla bint al-Azwar. She had put on armor and ridden into the heart of the battle, absolutely refusing to stand by while her brother was in chains. While you can imagine what that did for morale, inspired by her unbelievable courage, the army rallied. Khawla led the new charge that finally broke the enemy lines and won Dhiraar his freedom. So, in the very act of saving one legend, she created her own. The story of the warrior siblings has been told ever since. Just an incredible tale. So Dhiraar's life was so full of these vivid, dramatic, almost cinematic moments, which makes it pretty ironic that the end of his story is completely shrouded in mystery and debate. How does a man like this die? Well, the historical record, it doesn't really give us a straight answer. Basically, there are three main theories floating around. The one most historians agree on is that he didn't die in battle at all, but from the devastating plague of Amwaz that swept through the region. But other chroniclers tell a different story. The historian al-Waqidi claims he fell much earlier at the Battle of Yamama. And then another source, Ibn Abd al-Barr, says he died at Ajnadayn, the very place he had his greatest triumph. So why all the confusion? Well, one likely reason is a classic case of mistaken identity. Some modern historians think there were actually two famous warriors named Dhiraar around at the time. Our guy, Ibn al-Azwar, and another one, Ibn al-Khattab. It's totally possible that later writers just got their stories mixed up, which would explain the conflicting accounts of his death. So in the end, does it really matter if this incredible warrior died from a disease instead of a sword? Dhiraar's story really blurs that line between historical fact and epic legend. It kind of shows that sometimes the story of how a hero lived is so powerful, it completely overshadows any uncertainty about how they died. And that leaves us with a final thought to chew on. When history and legend collide like this, which story is the one that really endures?